Pages from the book Some Blunders of Indian Historical Research by P.N. Oak. Mr. Oak talks about Red Fort. Let us start our review with the Red Fort. Prithviraj Raso, a contemporary chronicle, tells us that Prithviraj lived in a palace on the bank of the Yamuna river. Traditional accounts also tell us that Prithviraj's palace was known as Lal Kot, that is a red-walled structure. The only building in Delhi which answers foursquare to these two specifications is what is known as the Red Fort. And yet the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan is being wrongly given the credit of having built the Red Fort in Delhi. Taimur Zang, who invaded Delhi in 1398, that is nearly 250 years before Shah Jahan, refers to Old Delhi, whose inhabitants he massacred. And yet, Old Delhi is mentioned in our histories as a city founded by Shah Jahan. The Red Fort in Delhi is the very focal point of Old Delhi. In fact, Old Delhi is built around the axial road, the Chandni Chowk, which joins the Red Fort with the building which is now known as Fatehpuri Mosque, but which was a temple of the hereditary deity of Hindus rulers. So even 400 years ago, 400 years before Shah Jahan, Old Delhi with its Red Fort and the main traffic artery, the Chandni Chowk, did exist. The Yamuna bank to the rear of a fort is known as Rajghat. That is a Sanskrit word. It could not have stuck on until several generations of Rajas had occupied the Red Fort prior to Shah Jahan and his Muslim predecessors. No Rajas ever ruled from the Red Fort after Shah Jahan, the fifth generation of Mughal emperor. Had Shah Jahan built the fort, the bank stretch of Yamuna at the rear would have been known as Badshah Ghat and not as Rajghat. The Delhi gate of the fort has two pair of stone elephants outside it. Islam strictly forbids the raising of any images, while Rajput monarchs were known for their love of the elephants. On the other side of the fort, archways are embossed stone flower emblems which appear on all medieval Hindu buildings. Running water channels through which Yamuna water coursed its way throughout the fort again suggest Rajput construction, because Muslims with a desert tradition could never have thought of running water channels. Shravan and Bhado, the Shravan and Bhado pavilions and the Kesar Kund in the Diwan-e Khas are again all Hindu terms. The Diwan-e Khas and the Diwan-e Aam do not have a single dome or minaret, which the Muslims are believed to insist on. The marble balcony on which the ruler used to sit in Diwan-e Aam has a temple type ceiling with a style which is typical Hindu, which ends sticking out obliquely. The Diwan-e Khas has a striking similarity with the royal apartment inside Amber, Old Jaipur, built by Rajputs in pre-Muslim times. Every one of the Mughal rulers had a harem of 5,000 women, as mentioned in the memoirs and chronicles. All of them, the ruler himself and the many children, could by no stretch of imagination be accommodated in the 2 to 3 rooms that comprise the Diwan-e Khas. A marble grill wall near Diwan-e Khas displays a balanced motive symbolic of royal justice. The Mughal rulers, who regarded 99% of their subjects as mere vermin, could never think of flaunting the symbol of justice in their palace. But the Rajput rulers, advised by their Brahmin counselors, did certainly have the dispensation of justice as one of their primary functions, constantly impressed on them through the scales motive. The Diwan-e-Khas and the Diwan-e-Aam have a mandap style ornate Hindu workmanship. Besides, the Diwan-e-Khas bears a close resemblance to the interior palace of Amber, old Jaipur. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, Shlok 30 to 32. It's about physical weakness in the time of emotional upheaval. When you are emotionally disturbed, you don't even find much activity that you can do. You feel almost as if you have lost all power. This is evident when Arjun says, "My Lord, I can't even hold my Gandiv, Dhanush, which is about to fall from my hands. My skin is burning and confusion is reigning supreme in my mind. I am finding it difficult to remain standing." Keshav, Krishna, further I observe, even the omens are turning bad, and I do not find solace in killing a large number of my own relations. Lord Krishna, neither do I want victory, nor I am interested in the kingdom, or any joys attached to it. Govind, what is the use of kingdom, or leisures, or pleasures, when we will lose our own dear relatives? So this is the state when Arjun looks relatives on both the sides. While he is a brave warrior, he is supposed to fight, but looking at that, he gets into emotional upheaval. It's an emotional breakdown. So, the lesson of Bhagavad Gita is that one should never allow emotions to rule over you. Emotions should always be in control, and that is how you can decide what to do. That is how